This is the in-car cam.
This one in that picture.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. Beautiful. I can do that. You guys can fix that.
Well, we'll have to give it back to them eventually. So he won't win those ones.
Okay.
And then, so where's his booking photo?
Yeah, that booking photo. That's the bottom. It's right below it.
So it's all in there, so you know where
Yeah, it's on there. Yeah.
So there's the spelling then, if you need it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Property
Right.
adjust.
So everybody good? Everybody ready?
Well, I was going to make a
Perfect.
comment about how nice the sheriff looks in his polo as opposed to the district attorney in a suit and tie. You work today?
Well,
I did. Oh,
well, thank you guys for coming out. You're going to hear just an update from this morning's officer-involved shooting at Dry Creek and I-25. Sheriff Spurlock's going to speak with you guys first, give you that update. Spelling of his last name is Spurlock. And then you're going to talk to DA Brockler, or he's going to speak to you. It's Brauchler.
Very good. Thank you again for taking some time. We felt it important that we would share a little bit more information about what happened early this morning. I think it's important for me to tell you at this point, this is a ongoing investigation that is got a lots of moving parts to it. We'll talk briefly, the district attorney will talk briefly about the joint investigation that's going on. But I wanted to share a couple things first. Probably in about an hour, hour and a half, we should have Dry Creek and I-25 open. That portion of the road, the crime scene, is being cleaned up, and we're moving the vehicles right now, and they're just doing one last minute walkthrough. So that intersection should be open for the public to utilize here, probably in about the next hour and a half. CDOT will open that up. The other portion is that we, as I said before, we have two persons. We have one person in custody, and I will give you his photo booking and his name here in a second. The other person is in the hospital, at a local hospital right now, being treated for wounds that he sustained in this incident. We have not positively identified this individual as of yet. We are in the process of doing that. We're working with the district attorney's office on an arrest warrant for him while he's still in the hospital. And then the third person, who is deceased, we are waiting for the Douglas County coroner to make appropriate identification and then notification of next of kin. We anticipate that to come within the next couple of days. So when that happens, we will share that information with you. Two things we also want to do is we want to show you just one little snippet of body cam. I want you to be aware of the issue of the body cam right here. There is a lot of information that ultimately at some point you'll get, but because of the ongoing investigation, it's important to keep the integrity of that investigation to the detectives that are working it right now, and part of the joint investigation the district attorney will talk about. We did want to show you just a couple little things, and then there is some audio as well that you'll get at a certain time. We have decided that audio, again, we want to make sure that the detectives that are utilizing all the tools they have available to find the facts in this case have that information to them first, and so you will get that as soon as we're able to do it. So first I just wanted to show you this real quick in-car cam. It's very quick. As you can see there's two of our cars in the suspect vehicle. We did, supervisor on the scene did give authorization for officers to do what was ever necessary to stop that vehicle. That is right there at Dry Creek underneath I-25. And as you can see, those officers did use their vehicles as a form of force, and so that is part of the investigation as well that the district attorney will be looking at. But we wanted to show you that end portion there. We had the opportunity to capture that portion of of it from one of the officers in the car. Both of those officers did go and get treated to make sure that they were okay because of the massive collision. So I wanted to share that with you. And then lastly, this is the booking photo of the suspect that we have currently in our jail. I will get you I'll prop his name up here real quick so I can give you the proper spelling. I'm not going to even try to pronounce it, but his spelling of his last name is Langewich, Pierce, P-E-I-R-C-E, Elliott, and his date of birth is 9/27 of 98. You betcha.
They check it out up here too. It's up there. I know it's small, but it's up there.
Langewich, Pierce, Elliott, 9/27 of 98. Leave that up there for a couple more seconds for you.
Sorry, do you mind spelling Pierce? My eyes are...
Sure, no problem. P-E-I-R-C-E.
Well, it's up there. It's P-I-E.
P-I-E-R-C-E. We have it two different ways. I'm not sure which is... P-I probably is more appropriately, looks like. P-I-E-R-C-E. And that's probably more appropriate. That's probably what he gave us while he was being booked into jail. I just want to reinsure the public. You know, this is a long, ongoing investigation. We suspect that these individuals may have been involved in some other crimes that we're in the middle of looking at, and so there's an extensive investigation going on with parties that are related to these individuals. So, you know, it's important that we continue to move through this investigation, and it may take some time to do that. So we are investigating a number of different things at this point, to include officers being fired upon at one point in this investigation. So we are in the middle of conducting an investigation for the crime itself through the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and we're in a joint investigation with the District Attorney's Office and the 18th Judicial District Critical Response Team, which is being ran by a lieutenant out of the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office and other CRT investigators. So I will turn it over to District Attorney Brockler to talk a little bit more about that and the joint investigations, and then some of the possible or pending charges that may come down the way. I'm going to minimize these, so unless you needed it up one more time. We're good? All right.
Afternoon. My name's George Brockler. Last name's B-R-A-U-C-H-L-E-R. I know we're spelling it twice just to make sure. I appreciate you being here. I think it's important that we have as quickly and as comprehensive as is appropriate a conversation about things like this whenever they take place for a couple reasons. One, we shut down a good chunk of the tech center ingress and egress this morning for a legitimate reason, and I think the importance of showing that small part of this case, that video portion, was to highlight how that came to be. That portion of Dry Creek covered all those lanes of traffic based on what you saw on there, and it had to be closed down for the proper investigation to be conducted. I think the other thing that I want you to know is whenever there is the use of lethal force by law enforcement, two things take place kind of simultaneously. One, if there's an investigation of an underlying crime that may have led to this law enforcement contact, Douglas County, who's involved, they're the ones that take care of that, and they're the ones that are investigating that part of the case right now. The other portion, the critical response team portion, the portion that investigates that potential, that use of lethal force, that does not get handled directly by Douglas County. They're certainly cooperative in the process, but what is triggered is a different group of people from other agencies that come together to take on that portion of the investigation. Our office are active participants in it, but the lead on that is a lieutenant, as you heard from the sheriff, from the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. And the purpose of that, I think, is one that we have been leaders on as a state especially across the country. We've been doing this here long before it was ever the law in the state of Colorado, and that is to make sure that we protect the integrity of the investigation for the public as well. While I should tell you, Sheriff Spurlock is interested right this minute in giving you a ton more dash cam video, body cam video, and audio that exists than we have shown you. But at my respectful request, because I can't order him to do anything, I have asked that we, for the moment, not release that information to the public because of these two simultaneously existing investigations that are going on. Now, it is true that there are 3 people involved in here. We know that one is at the hospital, one is in custody, and one is deceased. We have made no allegations as of yet. Everybody involved in this is presumed innocent, and they must be, even independent of subsequent charges that may be brought in this case. That's important for our process to work. What I think the public should know, though, is that those 3 people include all of the 3 people that we're aware of at this point that were involved in this widespread event that started in Douglas County and ended where you saw that dash cam, that body cam end right there with that collision under I-25 at Dry Creek. I think the other thing that I'd be willing to share with you, and I know the sheriff would have shared this with you too, is that the initial part of the investigation reveals to us that the initial shots fired came from that vehicle and not from law enforcement. That law enforcement's rounds were subsequent to that. And I say the initial part of the investigation because there's like a cajillion body cams and audio to go through, in addition to interviews with the many officers who responded, participated, and all those things. When we know more, we'll be able to act on more. When I say act on more, what I mean is to the extent that the person in custody is going to be brought before the court, it is our intention to seek a significant bond, given the events that have been unfolded in front of us, I think, so far, and the investigation. That will take place in the very near future. Charges are going to be filed. Those charges have not been decided upon yet because, again, this is an ongoing investigation. And I should tell you that initial charges, while we're very confident in the charges that we initially file, they're not always the permanent charges. There may be something additional we discover that gets tacked on later, something that's elevated, something that's minimized. That'll all happen in the public's view as well. But those charges could range from anything from potential property crimes that may have been committed prior to the contact with law enforcement, all the way to potentially attempted murder of police officers in this particular case. Those decisions will be made on the court's timetable here within the next couple days once we get someone in front of a judge, and that judge sets a filing of charges date for us. What am I leaving out? Anything else that I could demur from? I'm kidding. Or answer for you in terms of a question that you might have.
George, the suspect, the book that they're headed, obviously swastika on his neck. Is that something that's being investigated, or is it associated with any kind of gang or anything like that?
Yeah, without confirming anything other than what you saw in the picture, my sense of it is that you've got some of the best law enforcement operators in the state of Colorado investigating this case, and if there is an angle to pursue to determine if this was isolated, part of something bigger, more information to be had, they're going to run it down.
I have some questions for the sheriff. Can you explain the exact route that this chase took from Broadway all the way to Dry Creek? Do you know which route the chase went?
Sure, Broadway and C-470 westbound. They exited at Yosemite in that area.
Would it be eastbound or westbound?
Or eastbound, I'm sorry, eastbound, thank you. They went through the Park Meadows outer loop area, which is Yosemite Street and County Line Road. They go up Chester, which is just right across from Park Meadows Mall, and go up Chester to Dry Creek, and then Dry Creek continuing east until the vehicle came to rest at that crash site.
And was it at high speeds at any point?
Yes, they were at high speeds all the time. They were eluding us the entire time we were in pursuit of them.
Do you know how many times they fired on officers during that pursuit?
That is still under investigation based upon the body cam and the car cam, and I think that's where it's very critical that we want the detectives that are going to examine that footage to really get a look at it. I don't want to give a number to that because there could be more or there could be less if I said something. So that is still under, I can say that there were a number of times that officers were shot at. So other than that, we have to really look at those that footage.
And they were also throwing things out the window. Were you able to recover those things and determine what was inside bags that were?
We have recovered a lot of evidence at a number of locations with the assistance of other agencies. We have not examined the contents of that as of yet. That'll happen over the next couple days.
And then how many were involved in the shooting? Officers, deputies?
There were 5 Douglas County deputy sheriffs involved in the shooting.
The deputies did not shoot until after the car had stopped with the pit maneuver.
Again, we engaged these individuals from C470 and Broadway, all that route, and again, there is a lot of car footage and body cam footage that we need to examine. The interviews of those 5 officers has not taken place yet as protocol for the CRT. As soon as we have those interviews concluded, we'll have more information, and that's what we'll share with the district attorney, and it'll help him make determinations on appropriate charges and such.
The suspect car stolen?
We do know that the suspect car was stolen, yes.
We know from where or?
I can't really answer that without being incorrect. I was given 2 different locations, and we're trying to like that because we have a license plate that comes up stolen, and we don't know for sure if it's attached to the VIN of that vehicle. So, we do know that the vehicle was stolen, and we did get a hit on that through our computer system.
The snippet of video that was released, was that body cam or dash cam?
That's actually body cam.
That was body cam?
Yes.
And can you
How is it that there's no airbag that comes up?
That was dash cam? Sorry, thanks, Chief. That was dash cam. I don't know, that's something we're gonna look at. One would think that you would get an airbag out of that car, the little one? Okay. I didn't see that, so.
I just want to clarify, at this time, you don't exactly know when deputies fired first.
At the first location where we engage these individuals with use of force, we do not have that locked down, and we're gonna leave that to the CRT team to determine.
Could you speak to, you release the dash cam video so soon, and so often we don't see video after a long period of time. Had it perhaps shown deputies in a negative light, would you guys have released it as quickly? What prompted us seeing this snippet of video so soon after this?
Well, you guys should know me by now, okay? I release stuff as soon as I possibly can. I'm in the district attorney's office right now saying I think the citizens need to see this, and this. I understand my role as the sheriff. I also understand the role of the district attorney, and he has very good valid points of why we would want to wait until certain things are examined and evaluated. The reason why I select that portion today to show you is that I think it's important for the greater metropolitan area to understand why we shut down a major intersection for over 12 hours to conduct an investigation where an individual was shot and killed and others were injured. And I think it's important that you see as much as that which is appropriate to show that doesn't hamper or hinder the ongoing critical response team investigation.
Can I address the question you asked about, look, if it showed the officers in a negative light, would we see it?
Yeah.
The answer is yes, but it wouldn't be today, and that's why I have asked the sheriff to withhold many of the other things he wanted to show today, and for a good reason, and that is there's 2 operating investigations. Either one, neither one, or both may ultimately generate a case that gets filed here, and I want you to think about a situation where hypothetically we have an officer-involved shooting where we end up concluding this is an officer that needs to be prosecuted. And in no way am I suggesting that's this case. I'm saying this is why we do what we do. Had we exposed that video cam or whatever that other evidence is to this potential jury pool early, one, I get punched in the face in the courtroom on ethics violations, and two, there's a very good possibility that this case then gets moved out of this jurisdiction to another place where the crime didn't occur. And as long as I'm going to be responsible for making decisions about how to handle the crimes that are committed in this jurisdiction, I want them to be prosecuted and handled here, and I want jurors from this community to be the ones that sit in judgment of it. So while the sheriff, and you know this from the Zach Parrish incident and others, the sheriff wants to come forward with as much information as possible because he's saying, look, this is what we did. We think we did everything right. Here's how it goes. This is what we want to do. I've said, let's just slow our roll on that until we can get the investigation locked down. Will you see the video? I have no doubt that you're going to see the video. I have no doubt that you will have access to that audio. Is it going to be today, this week, or this month? Probably not. Probably not. Not until we figure out exactly everything that we're dealing with, so that the sheriff can stand before you and answer all those detailed questions that you guys have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the suspect should have a prior record of law enforcement?
I don't know the answer to that.
Again, because we haven't properly identified two of them, we have no idea. There is a warrant that the individual was arrested on that's in our custody right now. So there was a legitimate warrant that was out, and we have that individual in custody for that warrant right now. In regards to his criminal history, whatever, I don't have that, and I wouldn't be able to release that anyway.
More specific about what the warrant was for?
Failure to register as a sex offender.
Sheriff, what was the original call, like stolen car?
No, it was, the officers were, just driving down the road, and it was a reckless vehicle. And then they were able to put the license plate in and determine that the plate popped up as stolen. So it's kind of at the exact same time that the officers noticed the car driving recklessly, but also at the same time they were able to get that plate. I'm not sure if that plate was off, Chief, was that off an LPR hit or not?
I believe so.
One of the vehicles that was involved in this has a license plate reader on it, and I believe it recognized the plate and then sent that information to adjoining cars.
Typically, those red, or sometimes the red license is a rental car. This is not a rental car.
I do not believe this is a rental car, but I have to be honest, I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't believe so.
Was this car possibly stolen from DIA or has any connection with being parked long-term or short-term at DIA?
No, we do not have that. I know that it was reported stolen on November 18th.
Sheriff, I know you can't go into specifics, but could you talk in general about the gunfire from the Kirks? Were they using handguns or rifles or combination of?
Again, this is very new, early on in the investigation, and like I said, we towed 3 cars from that crime scene, and there's 3 other locations where we collected evidence, and we don't know exactly what's still in that car because we wanted to secure it as much as we could and then take it to our crime lab where it is in a pristine environment and take it apart. So what's in that car I can't answer at this point. If it's a rifle, if it's a pistol, or whatever, I can't tell you that.
And just to be clear, the suspect that we had positively identified as the suspect who is now in custody, there's one in the hospital who has not been positively ID'd, and the deceased has not been positively ID'd.
That is correct.
If you guys have just a couple more questions, they'll take those and then the DA and Sheriff are gonna leave. I can help with any other questions you guys might have.
And I just want to finish with one thing that, as I am always, I'm very proud of the men and women of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office and their ability to do work in this type of environment. They acted, in my opinion, very professionally, very heroically. They did a great job last night. They were put in harm's way, and they did whatever they could do to protect the citizens of both Douglas County and in Arapahoe County. So they did an excellent job, and I'm very proud of what they've done. It's a great unit that works this shift at nighttime, and they get themselves involved in a lot of things. And I continually found myself being more proud of them every night because of just the heavy work that they end up being exposed to. So I do want to send that information out to you to be aware of that. You know? Yeah, and to answer your question in regards to the firearm, I do know that one firearm has been recovered. I don't know what type it is, I don't know what kind, but I do know that there was one firearm that was recovered from the scene at the crash site out of the that suspect vehicle, but the rest of its exam hasn't taken place yet. All right.
Nothing else?
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Good. Great job. Great job.